Hello everybody, Ryan here again from Ryan's Guitar Shop. So today I wanted to do a video about how I teach my 30 plus middle schoolers how to start playing the guitar. So this week in my school district, we have been spending with my beginners the first couple days now of playing the guitar, and I thought I would share how I get, again, a room full of 35 kids playing the guitar and doing it correctly and effectively and with hopefully very little chaos. Now all of these work with, you could work with one person or all the way up to, again, I have almost every one of my beginner classes has 36 kids in it. And so I wanted to show you and share you how I do this pretty successfully. I've been doing this, tweaking this method over the last 20 plus years, and honestly I think I've got it really down to a really great system that it's maybe not the fastest system, but again, when you're dealing with 36 plus middle schoolers, it's a really good system that has been working for me to be able to get all of them playing consistently and correctly, and so I don't have to hardly worry about them doing it correctly or incorrectly later. One thing that will really help is to watch my How to Hold the Guitar video. That just kind of gives you some insight of what you're going to see in the video, in these clips later, that how my kids are holding it and kind of getting to that first step. I'm not going to review that here, but watching that video might make a little bit more sense of why my kids are doing the things that they are and doing it. So I'm obviously in my bedroom here, my office at home, so I'm not at school doing this. I don't want to record the kids doing this. That would be the ideal situation, but I don't have to deal with the legality of that. So I'm just going to kind of pretend, and you kind of use your imagination, that this is times, whole room kit full of kids. So I'm going to show you a clip of here's what my room setup looks like without any kids, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here's what my room looks like without any kids in it. So you just have to imagine that every one of those seats is filled, and pretty much all the available floor space that you see now, those aisles are taken up by guitars, cases laying on the ground, and this is just completely filled up when I get everybody here. Okay, set up your guitar. Check the angles, check your right hand, and now your left hand pinchies, and hold it. Okay, so at this point I'm standing in the front of my room. Again, it's very crowded. All the cases are on the floor for the kids' guitars. I don't have a way to put them back on the racks. That's just, again, too much chaos. So they're all on the floor. I have just a little bit of walking space. So think about the video I showed, the perspective of me panning across the room. I'm standing in that area now at this point. I do have a little bit of walkway around the front that I can kind of walk, from side to side, but for the most part, I'm standing in the front of the room. We go through all the holding like you just saw in the previous clip, and then when I can see that they're ready to play that first open, I'm scanning and making sure that everybody's got it, that we got everything set up, the holding is all good, and then we'll go ahead and I'll count them in. I'll say open, ready, begin. They'll go ahead and play the open, and from there we go ahead. Then at this point I'll say, okay, everybody now show me first string, first finger, first fret. Now this is the crucial part of this activity right here, is I need to make sure that I'm observing, I'm looking around the room, I'll walk around a little bit as I can, and I'm making sure it's 100% correct, that every single student has the first finger, first string, first fret. And it does take a little bit of extra time, but I don't want some kid in the corner playing, the sixth string or a weird finger here or doing some weird things. I want to make sure it's all 100% correct. So we've already talked about how to press, and we've practiced a little bit with that, adding the pressure. So at this point I'm saying just touch it for now, although because it might take me a good 2 or 3 minutes. I don't need them pressing the whole time. Just touch for now until right before we're ready to play. And then we go ahead, and when I feel that I've seen everybody 100% correct, first finger, first string, first fret, I'll count them in, and we'll do the first fret 8 times. Okay, after we've done the first finger, then same thing, I'll say, go ahead and show me, and this is again important, show, not play. Show me first string, second finger, second fret. And this is where I start getting a little bit of difference on the first couple times. Kids will slide the first finger up and put it in the second fret. They'll have maybe even the pinky. Strangely enough, they'll have kind of, again, different fingers. Maybe they've gone to the second string because they just heard the number 2. They've gone to the second string. So I'm making sure, again, second finger, second fret, first string, 100% across the board. That's, again, the most important part of this is making sure it's correct. And it does take some time, and you got to make sure that nobody's playing at a turn. And if you need to get a little bit harsh with them and like, hey, we're not playing right now, I just need to see everybody. The quicker it's correct, the quicker we can move on. And again, once I see it's 100% correct, I'll say, okay, go ahead and add your pressure. I'll count them in. 3, 4, begin. Third finger, third fret, same thing. Show me the third fret, third finger. Make sure that that's there. They're not got the second fret or the third fret or the fourth fret or the weird frets. Make sure it's 100% correct. When it is, tell them go ahead and add the pressure, count them in, and then go ahead and play it. And then we have the fourth finger. Okay, make sure that, again, the first string, fourth finger, fourth fret, I'm going around. And again, I've said show it to me. Make sure that we are not playing and then not adding the pressure to wear out the pinky especially. And then when I feel it's correct, okay, go ahead and start pressing. 3, 4, begin. And then we go through the backwards side of it from there and just reverse that. 3, 2, 1. And again, each step of the way, we're stopping on each finger, each fret. We're playing it 8 times, stopping. I'm double checking. Okay, so that's how I get my kids started with this walking the board exercise. And it usually will take me a full hour, that first class period, to get them to do this 8 times pretty consistently. But by that hour, they're usually pretty consistent. Most of them are making very few mistakes at this point because we've gone through it multiple times, and I've literally checked them every single step of the way. And again, it may seem like a long time to go through this to make that work. But again, I've just found it's very necessary to slow it down, check every single step of the way. And for the most part, my kids have been pretty trusting, and I kind of just let them know, like, hey, this is going to take a little while. I just need you to follow along, and we'll get where we need to do. And I said, I'm constantly telling them, too, if we do it correct now, we get a habits built, then I'm not going to have to criticize and correct everything we do holding-wise or position-wise. And truthfully, I have very little issues through the rest of the year if I get these first couple of classes set and that procedure going from there. So as we're going through the checks and everything, maybe by the next day they come back. If everything's going pretty good, they'll have some issues coming back because it's again been a day or two since I've seen them. And then once they get going again, then we try some other variations. So one of the first variations I will do is instead of 8 times per finger, we'll just try 4. And I'll still stop in between each one. And then when I feel like I don't have to check so much, again, when they've kind of mastered where everything is going on this first string, then the next step would be try it 4 times without stopping. So then I'd shout it out, open, 2, 3, 4, first finger, 2, 3, 4, second finger, 2, 3, and I'm shouting this out as we play. It helps keep them together with me, helps them hopefully playing together. By this point, they're used to following along with me, following each other. And again, I'm still scanning around the room. I'm walking around the best I can and making sure it's correct. And if it gets a little off, again, hey, Bobby, we need to fix this. We did this a little bit off. And I'll adjust the speed a little bit as I feel I need to. And then I might drop it down to only 2 notes per finger. Open, open, 1, 1, 2, 2, and so forth. And then when they feel pretty comfortable with that, we'll go to just 1. Open, 1, 2, 3. And I'm doing mostly this on the first string for now, because I've really found that if I complicate it by adding in strings 2 and 3, that just, again, it's a whole new set. When it's easier said than done, just say move all this to the second string for middle schoolers. So I found that if I do this on the first string, the more I do it just on the first string, then the second, third, and obviously the other strings are much easier. So I try to not go too quickly into the second and third string. For some reason, that just, they have a hard time kind of adjusting that until they get really, really comfortable with the first string. So this is how I get them started. So this is going to be about 3 or 4 days. Now, we may not do this all period for 3 or 4 class periods. At this point, I'm going to take breaks and we might start talking about how to do rhythms and a couple of other things. But for the first couple of 3 or 4 classes that I'm getting the guitars out, they're practicing. This is what we're spending heavily on our time with, is these walking the boards with me, really, really just, again, double checking, triple checking, making sure everything's where it needs to go before we play it together. I fix anything that needs to go and we go on from there. So I hope this helps you, and see you on the next video.